Morning, friends, and welcome to our morning devotional here on this Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. I can't believe that we are well now into November. Good gravy. I mean, Christmas is on full display in all the stores, and we just put away our Halloween stuff. We're not quite ready for Thanksgiving yet. A lot going on. I want to talk to you today about good intentions. Good intentions. I find this is something that really resonates with me. First question I want to ask you, have you ever encountered someone who was well-meaning in what they said, but usually failed to follow through on what they actually did, on their actions? And how did that make you feel, when you encountered that individual? A friend or a family member or a neighbor, that always, well, I'd get around to, I'll get around to repairing that fence that you need, and just never happens. Or have you ever been well-meaning in something that you've said that you wanted to do or felt it was important to get done, but just couldn't get yourself to follow through to get it done? And if so, how did that make you feel about yourself? Let me tell you, getting out of bed and going to that gym, oh my gosh, that is tough to follow through on many days. So our scripture this morning is two, actually, I'd like to use. The first one out of Philippians chapter 2, verses 12 and 13, and it says this: "Therefore, my beloved, just as you have always obeyed me, not only in my presence, but much more now in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." Here's the phrase: "For it is God who is at work in you, enabling you both to will and to work for his good pleasure." To will and to work for God's good pleasure. And I think that's the challenge that we face, not only as Christians, just as human beings. That ability to follow through. You know that old saying where the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak? Believe it or not, that's in Scripture as well. That's Matthew chapter 26, verse 41. Here's Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane with his disciples, and he's trying to keep them to stay awake. And he says this is verse 41, "Stay awake and pray that you may not come into that time of trial. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." The disciples are going, "Yes, Jesus, we're here for you." And then they're out cold, It's, so oftentimes, we have those experiences, don't we? The people we're with and we love and cherish, yeah, we want to get it done, and we mean to do what's good, and we mean to do what's right, but we don't actually follow through and do it. Whatever that may be for you, whether it's going to the gym and getting that exercise, whether it's meaning to volunteer for something that it's important, a church potluck event or a special event going on in the community there, but you don't get around to doing it, or maybe even in your giving. We talk about our finances this month in our season of thanks. Maybe, I mean to give that extra gift or to help increase to move towards a tithe, or maybe even to get to a tithe in my giving there, but I just don't get around to actually doing it there. And this is what the Philippians chapter is talking about. When God is at work in you and in me, that God can enable us to do both, to both have the will and the action to work for God's kingdom. Now, the challenge is we still have this thing called free will. We can resist, right? God can will us to have the will, the heart, the spirit to do it. God can actually call us into those actions and have that clarity to know what to do. We also have to align ourselves with God so that our actions, our will, aligns with God, so that we don't fall weakness, where the spirit is willing and the flesh is weak, and just fall aside, and we're actually put to work for God's kingdom. We have that free will. So this week, my prayer for you is take an opportunity this week to reflect on something in your life that you feel that God has maybe always called you to do, or to be a part of, or to help with, or take that next step in your Christian walk, whether it be in volunteering, in your finances, in relationships, in attending worship, whatever it may be for you, wanting and working in your life to take that next step. And pray for that alignment, that our body and our spirit can align to God's call in our life, as God continues to work in you and in me to enable us both to will and to do what we have been called to do, what glorifies God and God's kingdom here on earth. So until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of God's hand.